my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book related video to share with you guys. It's not a book talk, it's not Friday, this is just kind of a bonus book related video that I wanted to share with you guys. For the past couple of days I've been really thinking about different books that I would love to see get made into movies or TV shows, and I thought I would talk about some of them with you guys today. I know I'm going to forget some, so maybe there'll be a part 2 to this down the road. But I thought I would just talk about the ones that have recently been on my mind. And I'd love to hear what you guys think would make great movies or TV shows in terms of books. So I guess what probably kicked this off for me was I was recently reading about how The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is being made into a film, which I'm very excited about because that was a book that I loved. It came out a few years ago. I did a book talk on it, which if I remember, I will link in the description down below. It's such a fantastic book about World War II and sisters, and I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. And yeah, it's going to be made into a movie starring Dakota and Elle Fanning. So they're going to be having sisters playing the sisters, and that's just, it's fantastic. So as I'm getting ready, I'm getting excited to see that. It got me thinking about other adaptations. One recently that I was really excited for that yet I still haven't seen is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. That was recently made into a film. I remember seeing the trailer and being so excited for it. It's such a good book. It's a book that when I finished it, I was sad I was done with it because I was done with it. I'd already read it. I wish I could rewind time and have not read it so that I could read it. And I remember seeing the trailer and thinking it looked really good. And I live in a small town, so it didn't come here when it was released in theaters. And I haven't really sought it out since because I heard some bad reviews about it from people who loved the book. And that makes me a little wary to watch it. But if you've seen it and you've read the book, or I guess even if you've seen it and you enjoyed it, do let me know because I want to watch it. And I will eventually. But I'm a little nervous. Just because the book is so perfect. Donna Tartt is an amazing writer. And it's an amazing story. So I've got my phone here. I've got some notes put in of books I was thinking about. Speaking of Kristen Hanna, in my notes here I also have The Great Alone, which is another book of hers that I absolutely adored. It's about a family who moves to Alaska, and the father of the family, he's really suffering from PTSD after being in the war. It's just a whole situation, and you know, there's young love, there's family drama, there's a lot of really intense emotional moments, and I loved that book so much. Kristen Hanna is a really special writer, and she's one of those writers that whenever I hear she has a book out, I buy it immediately. And I just think The Great Alone would make a fantastic movie. It's one of those books that when I was reading it, I could vividly see it in my mind. I could see the people, I could see it playing out so perfectly on screen. It would be a fantastic movie. They have a couple of just authors in general that I think a lot of their work would translate well, either into film or series. Mostly film, I think, because they're such contained stories, but Lisa Jewell, you know I love Lisa Jewell. She's a relatively new find to me. I found her probably about 3 years ago, but I've been reading so many of her books and they're so well written. She's an author that never disappoints me, and in fact what I love so much is that each time I read one of her new releases, most generally it blows the ones I've read before out of the water. Like I recently read The Family Upstairs, and to me that was the best I'd read of hers so far. And that's so exciting to dive into an author that is giving you that. And so many of her books would make great films. I've heard rumors of, I think, And Then She Was Gone, or Then She Was Gone being made into a film, which I need to dig into more and find out if that's kind of a for sure thing, but I think it would be great. And another author to me that's kind of in the same vein as Lisa Jewell, in that she's writing consistently better books, like books that top themselves each time they come out, and they're also kind of in the same vein as in they're usually family oriented, they're usually thrillers, and that's Ruth Ware. I had one book of hers that I didn't like, and that was In a Dark, Dark Wood. It was the first book I had read of hers, and I was just kind of off-put by it because I found it really predictable. But then her most recent book, The Turn of the Key, I also did a book talk on that one, which if I remember I will link below, but by far the best one I'd read. And I just love that growth with each novel, and Ruth Ware also gives that every time. So what else do we have here? The Marsh King's Daughter by Karen Dion. The Marsh King's Daughter was a book that I had really low expectations for. I honestly didn't think too much of it going into it. I didn't know anything about it. And having read the blurb, I didn't have too many expectations. But I loved it. I loved it. I loved it so much that I even bought a second copy and did a giveaway here on my channel. That's how much I loved it. And I just think that that book would translate so well either into a film or even a limited series, you know, a mini series. Or maybe even a full-length series. I don't know, but it was such a great book. So good. It's just another one that I could see play out so clearly in my mind. It was just so good. It was so good. She's a fantastic writer. Another one that I have here on my list is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman is a fantastic storyteller. He weaves such amazing stories, and so many of his stories have been made into TV shows or movies. And I feel like an obvious choice will also eventually be The Ocean at the End of the Lane. It's such an interesting story, and right from the first page I was just enamored with it, because right away he says in his dedication, he says, "For Amanda who wanted to know." And Amanda Palmer is a musician and she's his wife, and dedication's for her. And you know, it's just such a sweet thing. So right off the bat I was taken with it. And then as you get into the story, it's just, to me, it feels like such a departure for Neil. It's a much shorter book for one. Normally he writes, you know, longer books, but this one's shorter. It hits harder, to me at least. And it was just such a fun story. Again, I will link my book talk for it down below. Yeah, I would love to see that. Next up, I have Elevation by Stephen King. This, once again, is a departure, kind of like I just said with Neil. It's kind of a departure for Stephen. It's a very, very short story. It almost reads like one that might have made it into one of his short story collections, but it was a little too long. But at the same time, it's very topical for a lot of things that kind of are happening right now. And I'd love to see that as a film. I think it'd be really interesting. I would love to see how it was tackled. And again, I'll link the book talk. What I'm understanding now as I'm talking about it is I have book talks for pretty much all these books. So, and the next one is, we're getting to the end. The next one is The Invited by Jennifer McMahon. And that was a book that I loved very much. It's based kind of on the premise of, what if you didn't move into a haunted house? What if you built one? And this woman kind of, while she's building her dream house, she's buying bits and pieces from around the town that have a lot of history in them. And by extension, as she's building it, she's bringing these spirits connected to these pieces into her home. and it's just very interesting. And I don't know if that would be more of a series or a movie, but I could just see it. I would love to see that play out on film. And it's funny, when I read the book, I pictured John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as the couple, who are also a couple in real life, but they've also been in a film together, The Quiet Place. So but yeah, as I was reading it, that's who I pictured as the couple. So yeah, there you go, you guys. Those are kind of just the ones that I've been thinking about lately that I just wanted to talk to you about. Again, let me know in the comments down below, what are some books that you really could see turned into films, or books that you just would love to see turned into films, or even TV shows. There's something very enticing about a book being turned into a TV show because there's more of it to love. So yeah, definitely let me know that. Like I said, there'll probably be a part 2 of this, because once I sit down to edit this and then finally post it, I'll think of at least a dozen other books I will be kicking myself for having not mentioned. But that's gonna do it for now. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I will see you on Friday with another book talk video. Bye.